I'm making this second video that is based on preg split instead of explode because I just reread the homework assignment and it said that you're supposed to use preg underscore split. Now, preg underscore split is a better and more flexible version of explode, but only when the pattern that serves as a delimiter is a regular expression. If it's not a regular expression, or it doesn't have to be a regular expression, then explode is actually easier to use compared to preg split. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at preg split, which is right here. So preg split, whoops, excuse me. Preg split is about the same thing. You specify the pattern, which is serving as a delimiter, and then you specify the subject which is the string that is being split. Okay. And you can also specify limit just like with the other one. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at some examples, and we can also just turn explode, the explode.php file back into a preg split. That should work as well. So we'll copy explode.php to split.php, and then we'll test split. So right here, everywhere that we see explode, we'll change it. So this explode is changed to preg underscore split, except in this case, because it is a regular expression, or the pattern is a regular expression pattern, so it has to start with a slash and also end with a slash. Same thing applies to this one here. Now this one gets a little bit more tricky because the symbol that we're looking for, or the pattern that we're looking for as a delimiter, is a slash itself. So there are several ways to do this. You can use something other than a slash. In the other examples, when we talked about regular expression, it said that the pound sign can also be used to enclose the pattern that is being searched for. So this will basically be able to specify the slash, but because we're using the pound sign to begin and also end the regular expression, the entire thing has to be quoted. You can either use a single or double quote because this is a string that is passed to a regular expression recognition engine. So that's why it is kind of like double quoted, because we have to use double quote and the pound sign here. And to end it, we have a pound sign and a double quote here. All right, so let's go look for another explode, and that should be it. All right, so the moment of truth is here. We want to see if the program still does what it's supposed to. Seems that way. We can go back and change our number of columns from 9 back to something like 5. Okay. And run the program again. And this time each row has 5 items. And on the second row, we have only 3 items and 2 blanks because we ran out of material to fill up these cells. So we have to use the blanks in order to fill in the 2 empty items to end that particular row. And I've been thinking about this program, and I think we can make the function even more flexible, because at this point, there's no way to specify what to print when it is not when it is at the beginning of a row. So there might be something that we want to specify, when it is at the beginning of a row. So what we can do is to specify another parameter here, and we say new row begin as a pattern and as a string. So we can specify this to be an empty string to begin with. In other words, if the caller is not specifying this, then we'll use an empty string. But now you can also use something to begin a new row. So this is a new row delimiter to separate one row from another row. The next one is same row delimiter, which means we're still on the same row. It's not time to end it yet. And this one here is the beginning of a new row. Then we need to go into the subroutine and find out, okay, what do we do when we're at the beginning of a row? Okay, I have a feeling that we need a conditional statement here. Okay, whatever we specify here, and it is helpful to put in the comment first. If this is the first item of a row, print new row begin. Okay, so this is the purpose. That's the purpose of this assignment, a conditional statement. And we'll also print the parameter new row begin here. So now the question is, what do we use as a condition to decide whether it is time to print that? So what we need to do is to take a look at the other conditions. We know that we are at the end of a row when c plus 1 mod n equals to 0. In other words, when c is 2 and n is 3, then we are at the end of a row. And this one is supposed to correspond to all of the other values. What that means is over here, we need to detect the beginning of the row. And if you think about the extreme case, when n is 0, that is when we're at the beginning of a row. But when n is 3, excuse me, when c is 0, we're at the beginning of a row. When c is 3, we're also at the beginning of a row when n is 3. So this means when c mod n is a 0, then we are at the beginning of a row, because it is divisible by the number of items in a row. So in the case that n is 3, then 0 is at the beginning of a row, 3 is at the beginning of a row, 6 is at the beginning of a row, and so on. All right, so now that we have all of these, let's go ahead and make use of those parameters. And print table item is here, and what we want to do is to actually specify all the parameters. The next one is to specify what to do with a new row. And I'm going to do some kind of funky symbol here, like that. So I'm going to use the square bracket to mark the end of a row. And to separate items from one from another, I'm going to use a comma. So that is used in the same row to separate items from each other. And then I also have to specify what is the beginning, what marks the beginning of a row. And I'm going to use a open square bracket here to mark the beginning of a row. And I'm going to specify the same thing when we print the empty space. So same thing here, and bracket backslash n, quote, comma, oops, quote, and then quote, open bracket, quote. There we go. All right, so now that we have this done, we'll save the file and run it on the command line. And you can see how the square brackets are used to mark the beginning and also the end of a row. And then on the same row, we have the commas separating the individual items of a row. It also knows how to fill in the blanks, or how to use the blanks to fill in the empty cells of a row, so that each row has exactly 5 items on it. I have a strong suspicion that you might find this split program useful, at least to take it apart and see which part you can recycle and use in your homework assignment. So what I'll do is I'm going to upload this video and also upload both the split and explode PHP programs, so they can examine each one and find out which part of it you can actually borrow and use in your